This is a Kinn PODFIC of I Was Set Up by a Honey Badger by Solitary Bird. Read for you by Solitary Bird. This fic is rated G. Vegas works as a zookeeper. He's in charge of the honey badger exhibit, one of the more highly challenging ones, as honey badgers are deceptively dangerous and they have a penchant for escaping. Nina, the oldest honey badger at the zoo, just had cubs, even though everyone had thought her too old to have any further pregnancies. The set of twins were being kept out of public viewing until they had aged up enough for the stress of being gawked at by the zoo's visitors. Their mother, however, had taken it upon herself to use the zookeeper's distraction as they weighed her offspring to make yet another bid for freedom. It fell to Vegas to hunt her down and lure her back. Trying to force Nina to do anything she didn't want to was foolish. Vegas had a bag of her favourite treats, a catchpole, and the option of a big piece of wood to put between himself and her should she get aggressive. The zoo CCTV had caught her heading down the path from the honey badger habitat towards the snake exhibit. Having seen just what a honey badger can do to a cobra before, Vegas hurries his way over there. The last thing he needs today is to start a blood feud with Kinn, the zoo's senior herpetologist. Snakes were everything to that man. You would think that every snake they had in that place was his child, considering the way that he talked about them. Kinn already didn't like Vegas. He seemed to think that the honey badger escapes were somehow orchestrated by him, a belief that was entirely laughable. Nina goes where she wants. The staff involved in her care merely try to contain her chaos within a somewhat enclosed area. Today, the CCTV didn't even manage to capture just how she had gotten out. Of course, it would malfunction at a critical time, and Vegas was left to guess. She had once managed to stand on the back of their male honey badger, Papaya, and used him to get the height she needed to climb the wall of the enclosure. No doubt Nina had done something equally ingenious this time too. The snake exhibit door was firmly locked when Vegas pulled on the handle. He sighed a breath of relief that they hadn't already opened for the day yet. Unfortunately, that meant that Nina could be anywhere, and most importantly, she could be in an area where members of the public were wandering around unknowing that they might be in danger. His radio crackled seconds before the security team connected to Vegas. She's following a member of the public who doesn't seem to have noticed her. Where? Vegas asked desperately. The paperwork that he was already going to have to fill out for this escape was already going to be a ball ache. If a visitor got bitten, management would be very unhappy about that, and Vegas would probably find himself shouldering the blame for it. Vegas was a pretty decent runner, but if Nina decided to take a dislike to the human she was currently stalking, he wouldn't be able to get there in time to prevent the attack. That would lead to a multi-million-baht lawsuit that would end up with Vegas losing his job. As much as he might complain about working at the zoo, and Nina in particular, Vegas does actually like being a zookeeper. Down by the elephants came the distorted-sounding voice of the security team over the radio. Can you not put something over the loudspeaker, or get the staff down there to do something until I get there? Vegas asked, already starting to run. He doesn't even need to listen to the answer to know that he's the only one they're sending to deal with this, and that they won't use the loudspeaker. Ostensibly, not using the loudspeaker is to prevent a mass panic, but the zoo had been open to the public for all of 10 minutes. There couldn't be that many people in here already. The risks that management would take just so they didn't have to close for 20 minutes was crazy. Why the elephants were so far away from the snake exhibit, and why Nina had decided that there was the place she needed to be right now, was a mystery known only to her. By the time that Vegas finally got there, he's severely out of breath. He saw a man sitting on his own at a workbench, overlooking the elephant enclosure. Vegas walked over, approaching him from behind in order to ask him to leave for his own safety, and if he had seen Vegas's quarry. He rounded the corner and was met with two shocks. 1, the man was gorgeous. 2, he's petting Nina, who was currently acting like a puppy, lying on her back with her legs in the air. She looked blissful. Vegas decided then and there that they need to employ this man. Anyone that could soothe the internal rage of the honey badger was an angel sent straight from heaven, one he couldn't let slip away. He found out that there was something that Nina liked more than her favourite snack, and that was belly rubs. He ended up asking the very pretty man to come back with him to the honey badger exhibit to lure Nina back home. The man's name was Pete, Vegas found out on the way. Pete asked him for a date once they locked Nina back into her enclosure, where she immediately disappeared out of sight inside of the den in order to check on her cubs. One day, many months later, when Pete has moved in with Vegas and they're at a party where someone asks how they met, Vegas is hit with the realization that they might be the first couple in history to be set up by a honey badger. Author's note: don't ask me where this idea came from, because I have no idea. No Mafia AU for my boys. Let me have one story for them where the biggest trauma they have to deal with is shitty health and safety and bad management. The end. Thank you for listening.